Good morning. Uh, Had a tough game on Saturday, and the good news is you get to play again this Saturday. So we're looking forward to moving on. Got to go up to Maryland, get back in the ACC on the road. Uh, Drew another team with a very good defense. Statistically, I think in the top 10 in a bunch of categories. Got some good young skill players offensively. As everybody knows, they struggle with the quarterback position with injuries. And so we really don't know what to get ready for over there. We haven't seen the young man play as to which direction they will try to go. The quarterback in the last game threw it 43 times. You don't know whether you're going to get that or whether you're going to get some type of more of a run scheme or a zone option scheme or something like that. So the big thing for us this week is try to fix what we didn't do well last week and see if we can't go and get an ACC win and even our record in the conference.
Can you talk about a couple of guys, Autry and Lewis Young, and kind of what their situations are injury-wise?
Autry's out. Lewis Young, we don't know.
For what it's worth, Anthony's brother tweeted that it was a torn ACL. Can you confirm that's?
You have to confirm that with Anthony's brother, I guess. I mean, I can't confirm that, no, nor deny it.
Is he out for this game or for longer?
He's just out. For right now, he's out.
How would you describe the personality of this team? What do you?
Personality. I don't know. I think it's probably got some different personalities. I think that it's still a young football team. There's basically 3 seniors on offense and 2 that play on defense. So at times we have a hard time staying focused. The maturity level is probably not what you would like all the time. But it's been, I don't know that you can put one description on them, really.
Is this a little bit of a difficult game going into Maryland with so many unknowns with their quarterback situation? They have a good defense, and maybe making sure the players are focused and up and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, if our players aren't focused, gosh, I think every game is hard. It's a hard game. It's hard to win games. As I've said before, everybody tries to win. Nobody just kind of rolls out and lets you win games, so it's tough. And our guys understand the importance of the game, and they also understand the importance of the game for Maryland. Maryland's trying to get to 6 wins too. So I'm sure that we're going to get their best shot and come out, and they'll play as hard as they can play, and that's what we got to be ready to do too.
Have you thought about, technically, mathematically, you guys are alive in the ACC thing? Is that something you talk to the team at all about? Or?
They know that. Yeah, the team knows that.
You mentioned sometimes youth can cause losing focus. Where do you sometimes see that manifested? Is that play to play? Is it weeks preparation? When you're coaching a young team, where do you have to perhaps most have your radar tuned to try to minimize that?
I think it can happen anywhere. It happens in the game. The game before last, clearly we lost some focus at halftime when we got way up. I think that it can happen series to series sometimes. Momentum is a big deal, I think, especially with a young team. It's a big deal. And when things they don't go well early, they can get down really quick. but it's hard to put your finger on exactly when does it happen, or there's no exact, formula or time or whatever. I don't think.
Obviously, I would think one thing you don't talk to them about is the AD situation. But as you look at your players, but as you look at the big picture of the program and where things have been and where they're headed, just for you personally, will you miss Dan, and how do you feel without having him?
Yeah, well, I think Dan and I have had a really good relationship, both from a professional standpoint and from a personal standpoint. Dan, I think he felt like he could come to my office and talk about things, and we visited at least probably 3 or 4 times a week. As far as from a program standpoint, you move forward. I'm sure that they're going to hire a qualified person to be the athletic director, and what I've got to do is try to make sure that we're given the means to be successful on this level. That's something that each different person, I guess, will have their idea about. We'll have to sit down and share ideas and get their philosophy and go accordingly. But I'm excited for Dan. I think it's a good opportunity for him. He seems to be excited about it, and I wish him the best. As far as the players, I don't think the players pay much attention to who the AD is.
What you said about the focus and it going series to series, could that could the way the team tackles and is willing to tackle, stick their nose into things, is that part of the maturity focus issue?
Well, tackling's been an issue, so clearly we've got to do a better job teaching to tackle. I think that, as you've heard, tackling's been an issue in a lot of areas. It's how much can you go live on that side of the ball, and we're going more live than we ever have. But you still only have a set number of people to play, and I think the missed tackles are going to come up when you play against better quality of athletes. That's clearly some guys are harder to tackle than others, but it's an area you got to keep focusing on. We practice it every day, and it really magnifies itself. The other thing you got to do is you got to play hard enough that when one guy misses, there's another 2 or 3 guys coming. So it's not magnified as much sometimes.
Do you feel like the tackling issue is something that's going from the high school up, like it's not being taught maybe as well at that level, and it's matriculating its way?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it's our job to teach them to tackle here. How they tackle in high school is how they tackle, but once they get here, we've got to teach them to break down and bend their knees and put their eyes on the target and wrap up. What guys tend to do a lot, and I think here and in general, everybody's looking for the big hit, and sometimes they'll come in there with shoulder and head and really pop somebody, but there's no wrapping up and grabbing cloth and hanging on. And if you're the first guy there, your job needs to be to hang on. Stop the guy, wrap him up. It's the second and third guy that needs to come in with a big hit. It can't be the first guy all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've seen on film this year, not just our guys, but people come in and really pop a guy, and they knock him from one gap to the other gap, and here he goes because they didn't wrap up. Now they hit a lick, but unless you knock him off his feet, it doesn't do you any good.
With the uncertainty surrounding Lewis and Jamal moving back to cornerback, will we see more of him this week, perhaps?
Well, if Lewis doesn't play, clearly Jamal would be the guy that would play in his place. Yeah.
Has Isaiah been helped as much as any player in the defense by the coaching change?
I don't know the answer to that. You would have to ask Isaiah, I guess. I think he played better again in the Boston College game. It's probably easier because he doesn't have to make as many calls and he can just play. But he'd have to answer that for you.
I sort of asked this in regard to Vadden Tevin, but is a relationship between a starter and a backup, just generally speaking, is that something you need to be wary of if they're getting along, or if there's friction there at all? Or
No more so than any other position on the team between the backup and the starter, I don't think. I think those guys have a good relationship. They seem to get along well. I mean, I've been sitting a lot of meetings with them and watch them practice, and I think they pull for each other, and I don't think there's any animosity there.
Is that ever? Have you found that ever to be? I'm not asking. I accept what you're saying. Is that ever the case? Sometimes that you need to, whether it's the quarterback or the center or wherever.
Oh, I think there's a lot of times through 30-some years of coaching, I've seen the backups and the starters not get along. I mean, it's human nature. If you're the backup, that you want to play, and the more competitive you are, the more, I've seen older guys who wouldn't offer to help the younger guys with any kind of advice or any kind of help. You've seen it all through the years, but I don't think that's the case right now.
How important is getting the bowl game in terms of getting those extra practices, and what do those mean in terms of building for the future?
Well, it's important. I think that I don't look at it so much for the practice for the next year as I do to put a positive finish on the year. Certainly the year has not gone the way that we would have liked or envisioned to this point, but sometimes it happens, and you could go back and revisit history. It's like I told somebody yesterday. You take the conference games, we've been ahead in every game in the fourth quarter. It's not like we rolled out there and got steamrolled by people. We just haven't finished and haven't won the game. You could make a really good case that we had a great chance to win the Virginia Tech game, a great chance to win the Miami game. If you win those two games, you're probably looking at a whole different scenario. But, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we didn't get it done. I mean, sometimes that happens. But I don't think you panic and throw the baby out with the bathwater all because you didn't. I'd be a lot more concerned if we were trotting our butt out there and getting beat 56-3 or 41-7, and you were never in the game and you never had a chance. Then you might be looking at wanting to make some changes in what you were doing and the way you were approaching and all that. But it's in my mind anyway, we're not that far away. We played one throwout, Middle Tennessee, and they're better than people think they are. But we no-showed. Bottom line, no-showed, no excuse. The team who beat us Saturday is pretty dang good. They got a pretty good football team. I don't care what their record is. They're pretty good. I imagine they're going to finish 8-4, and their losses are going to be to, two top 10 teams and Boise, who's lost one game. Well, and in the Utah game, they turned it over and had multiple chances to win the game. They missed the kicks. So it was, I was talking to Bronco before the game. He told me he had 28 seniors. It's a pretty good football team.
I know you wouldn't have much time, but when you go up to Maryland, will you have any time to visit with any Navy people?
No. I'm sure they got a game and we got a game, and it's about, 40 minutes apart, probably 35, 40 minutes. I don't even know if they play at home. I think they got a home game. I hadn't even looked. This time of year, we're kind of busy with our own deal.
guess is this a week though where you might have some old friends or whatever come in and watch the game or ask for tickets and try and come see y'all play up there?
Oh, possibly, but I don't think so. I think Navy's playing at home on the same afternoon, and I haven't had anybody up there ask me for tickets. I would imagine they'd go to the Navy game.
Have you all received any communication from up there about any potential difficulties or changes due to the weather scenarios?
I have not, and none to my knowledge. Of course, that probably wouldn't come to me. It would probably go through the athletic director. But I think that our ops guy, one of our ops people, talked to their ops guy, and I think they think it's going to be out of there by tomorrow. So whatever. I know, having lived there, I'm sure they got no power because every time the wind blew 12 miles an hour, we had no power. So it's I'm sure that they're out of power, but they tend to get it fixed pretty quickly when the storm stops.
Coach, will be a situation with VAD and having to see how things go this week.
Yeah. We're committed to VAD playing. A lot of it's going to depend on practice, and I talked to both of them yesterday, and they understand the situation. So they both got to get ready to play, and as the week goes on, we'll figure out how we're going to do it.
You mentioned at the beginning about how playing against a quarterback who you haven't seen before, you don't know how to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
So to that end, what are you doing exactly with the scout, and how do you try to anticipate what you might see?
Well, you try to make your educated guess. They're not going to be able to get too far away from what they do, I don't think, in 3 days. So you try to figure what would you do if you were them. And to me, if you're as good as they are defensively, you're going to be real conservative and make sure that you don't lose the game on offense trying to do something the guy can't do. So I fully expect that we'll get a real dose of them trying to run the ball. We didn't exactly set the world on fire against 12 personnel Saturday with a couple tight ends out there, so I'm sure we'll see that. It's important that we get fixed what we didn't do well Saturday, and so that if they go to exploit that, at least it's halfway fixed. I mean, I'm sure Boston College didn't think a week ago that their quarterback, who they just pulled out, was going to throw the ball 43 times, but he did. And I'm sure they're going to try to get the ball to their playmakers. The Diggs kid, number one, is a really electric playmaker, the freshman. They got a running back who's two running backs actually who are good players. So, and the offensive line is pretty, they're pretty good too. So I'm sure that they'll try to make it simple as they can for the quarterback and let their guys try to carry the load. That's what I would do.
I guess kind of at this point, what's your evaluation of how Coach Kelly's done under the sort of adverse circumstances he's been?
I don't have an evaluation of how Coach Kelly's done in 2 games. I mean, I think he's doing a good job. But I haven't sat back to go, well, let me evaluate. Unlike some people, as coaches, we don't evaluate every series and every play and every game on how somebody's doing. I think there's a body of work, and that's kind of what you evaluate. You could drive yourself crazy if you start evaluating every series and every play. And
With the defense against BYU, was mental errors part of the problem, or was it more?
we had probably half of what we would normally have. We had a lot of missed tackles. You can go back and watch any game film. It's historically the same, and watch sometimes errors are crucial. You know, the very first drive, we have a chance to get them stopped on third down. We miss a tackle. Twice, actually. Then we have them fourth down, and we have a missed assignment. Nobody takes the pitch on the option. All those are big deals, because if they don't score that series or you get them stopped, you know, who knows what the emotion of the game is or how it goes. What you strive to do is you always strive to play the perfect game, and it's hard to reach. But I don't think you lower your standards, and that's what I try to get across to those guys. We got to try to play the perfect game. If you've ever been involved in sports or done any of that, you know, I say it all the time, they got players too. Once in a while, their players will beat your players, or you get beat. You know, it's like I evaluate just like if you're playing basketball and I'm guarding you. If we play long enough, you're going to score. Now, it's my goal to keep you from not scoring and to stop you more than you can score. But that's the attitude going in is you're not going to score. And if you fall short of that, then you have to look when it's over and say, well, you know, I stopped you 85% of the time. That was pretty good. If I stopped you 60% of the time, for some guys, they'll think that was good. For me, I wouldn't think it was good. And that's kind of the way you look at it. Nobody ever grades out 100%, I don't think. I mean, I always get amazed when you scrimmage each other or you see teams play each other, and, you know, the offensive tackle graded out at 90 and the defensive end graded out at 82. Doesn't make sense to me. But it happens a lot of times if you watch. I mean, it doesn't ever come out to 100. So in some people's mind, that was good enough, and other people's it's not.
Paul, I apologize if you've answered this already, but Maryland pretty good defensively in 2010. Not so good last year. What have they done, been able to get back to being – because they're pretty salty defensively.
Yeah. They're big and physical up front. They got good linebackers, and they've got two cover corners that can kind of, you know, lock guys down. And they just, they play hard, run to the ball. The Villano kid's been playing for a long time. He's a really good player. The other inside guy has played better. You know, they're over 300 pounds. They run pretty good, and then the linebackers run well. And they've just shut down people. People have had a hard time running the ball against them, and they've played great in the red zone. When they get down there, they don't give up touchdowns, and that's the way you stay in games. I mean, if you're struggling a little bit offensively, if you don't give up many points, it don't take but one play to get back in the game or get the lead or go ahead, and that's kind of the way they played. I mean, realistically, if they don't miss a 30-yard field goal against NC State, I mean, they're sitting there with only one loss in the league. So they've been in every game. I mean, West Virginia to right on down in the fourth quarter, they've been in every game.
Have you ever seen anything – I know you had injuries at A-back where you had to play a lot of different guys, but have you ever seen anything like what they've gone through at quarterback? And I know you've talked a little bit about the kid that's going to play and how philosophy will change maybe a little bit with him, but just the rash of injuries at that position is unbelievable.
No, that is. I've never seen anything in the severity of the injuries. You know, I might have seen, I'd have to think back through the years where, you know, somebody might be down to the fourth guy at a position or something for a week or 2 weeks, but I've never seen that many season-ending injuries at one spot. And you see the kid in the Boston College game get hit, and you wonder, because it was it was a pretty good shot, and you wonder, but then he came back in. So, I mean, I would have had no idea that he tore his ACL. I mean, the kid's got to be pretty tough.